Yeah, I think what one has to primarily look at is how digitally native securities and asset-backed securities derive their value. This is primarily, it will boil down to how are the assets backing the issued tokens on a blockchain safe kept, and how are they tracked? So it would basically boil down in both the cases to the kind of governance frameworks and oversight that is applied or for both the type of assets. I would say that as long as the assets that are issued are regulated, and if the assets that are being issued are regulated in nature, so irrespective of the form of the asset, the same regulation should apply. That will ensure that appropriate risks are both disclosed and managed. Newer types of technology always introduces new technology risks. Investors and issuers, together with capital market intermediaries, should be able to, transparently disclose the associated risks related to new type of technology. But to think that blockchain itself introduces new types of risks apart from the technology-related ones is it would depend on the type of the assets that are issued. So if you are issuing assets representing traditional financial traditional financial assets, the same type of risks and disclosure norms should apply. Licensed regulated institutions should be able to issue and distribute assets, taking into account the client suitability. An asset that is issued on a blockchain doesn't mean that it is suitable to all clients. One aspect of the blockchain would be that even complex and sophisticated assets, given the fractionalization element, can potentially be consumed by a larger cross-section of investors. And the investor exposure can be limited to smaller amounts. That's something that a blockchain and smart contracts can enable.
In the asset tokenization industry, we still have to make a distinction between blockchain native issuances and digitally wrapped securities. The key difference between blockchain native issuances and digitally wrapped securities lies in how the underlying asset is represented on the blockchain and the level of integration with blockchain infrastructure. In the digital wrapper model, an existing real-world financial product like treasuries, equities, or bonds is wrapped in a digital form using blockchain, but the underlying asset itself remains outside the blockchain. This means that real-world assets still exist in the traditional financial system, while the blockchain serves as a digital layer for trading or ownership tracking. In this case, the blockchain simply acts as a secondary record-keeping system or a digitally enhanced way to trade the asset. The digital wrapper token is a representation of an off-chain asset. Legal rights and obligations still exist in the traditional financial system. And this is useful for improving liquidity and settlement efficiency, but doesn't fundamentally alter the underlying asset. On the other hand, in a blockchain native issuance, the asset itself is natively created and exists solely on the blockchain. There is no traditional off-chain counterpart to the asset. Everything from issuance to ownership and transfers happen entirely on-chain. These assets can be anything from digital art to revenue streams like music royalties that are created, recorded, tracked, managed entirely via smart contracts within a blockchain system. The risks between blockchain native issuance and digital wrapper differ significantly based on how ownership and management are structured. In the case of non-native digitally wrapped tokens, where the ownership registry is still maintained through some traditional means, ACRA, for example, in Singapore, the token essentially serves as a digital representation of the asset. Here, risks are relatively lower in terms of losing ownership, as ownership is still anchored in the traditional registry. Even if the token is lost or stolen, as long as ownership can be proven through the centralized registry, it's possible to burn and reissue the token to the rightful owner. However, This structure can limit some blockchain-specific benefits, like full automation or liquidity, as the system still relies on traditional infrastructure. On the other hand, blockchain native issuance introduces a different risk profile. In this case, the token itself represents direct ownership of the asset, like a bearer instrument. This eliminates the need for a separate traditional registry, as the blockchain registry serves as the single source of truth. This native structure can streamline processes and enhance liquidity since all the activities occur entirely on-chain. It also eliminates the risk of the double spend problem, which may be more pronounced using a non-native structure. However, the risk of token theft is higher since the ownership is tied directly to the token. If stolen and the rightful owner cannot be proven through external means, ownership may be lost permanently.